anybody love you?
Yeah.
Who?
You?
Who else?
Warner?
Hey everyone, Brian Skyler here, coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. And today I wanted to share a quick video with you guys about a program that I came across about a month ago. Now, just to kind of give you a little background here, probably the last year or so, I've actually gotten to the point where I've been really comfortable with meditating, and I've really gotten to the point where my visualization has been pretty clear to me. So I was introduced to a program, I should say, called quantum jumping. Now, quantum jumping is kind of a newer thing. It's basically where you have you have the ability, using an advanced visualization technique, where you can visualize yourself jumping into an alternate universe and communicating with an alternate version of yourself. Now, that sounds really trippy for most of us who don't even practice meditation or know anything about it. But just to kind of give you a bird's eye view about what it's like, I'm going to kind of go into detail and to tell you my first experience with this program. Now, for me, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and there's lots of different meditation groups around here where basically people gather together as a group, and they share ideas, basically mastermind about spirituality, and help develop their gifts. So I started going to this group, and I've just been fascinated by the people that I've met. And the group that I'm going to, the guide, her name is Carol, and she is the one who introduced me to quantum jumping, which, basically kind of coming from my understanding about what it was, it just didn't really click at first. But then when she kind of did a lesson on it, it really just opened my eyes and just clicked for me. So basically what my first experience is, they have the course by Bert Goldman. He's the one who basically put together the program for it, and you can find that online. But basically, she did a guided meditation with quantum jumping. So my experience was pretty profound. When I meditate, I'm basically developing my gifts that I was given, and there is a stone that I picked up, and it's called shadakite. Very beautiful, very, very beautiful stone that you can find at a lot of crystal shops. And basically it has a lot of different metaphysical properties to it, which I'm not really going to get into detail about that. You can click the link below. I'll have a link from my blog, and it'll tell all about what shadakite does. But basically I hold that in my hand while I'm doing my meditation, and it basically helps me develop my psychic powers. So in this particular situation, what I did was I held it in my hand. Carol's a very, very good guide, so she basically has very, very good deepening technique. So you can go really deep within the technique. So basically, she didn't use the exact form of Bert Goldman's actual quantum jumping CD. She basically created her own visualization. And basically it kind of went something like this. I was basically, as I went down and deepened into the meditation, I got to the point where, I was basically meeting up with a chief Indian, basically a strong-spirited person, who basically took me into the mountains. And then we went deep down into the mountains, and a nice tropical-looking area, which was weird because it was in the mountains. And we went on this hot air balloon, and this hot air balloon basically took us to another realm, another energy field, I should say. And there was another mountain there, and once we got to that mountain, the second mountain, it was magical, because I saw all kinds of just beautiful crystals within the cavern, and it led to basically this ending point, in which there was a door. Okay, so once I got to the door, that is basically where you jump off and you go to whatever alternate universe your other self is, or your successful self, or the self that you want to become, or even a self that you maybe not even knew you could become, maybe a poet, or a piano player or a musician or, a painter. Maybe you didn't know that your other self, you know, would be able to do that, but you can go and visit that other self in another dimension and ask them how they gained that success to where they could be able to perform the type of skill set that they have and be able to perform the same thing. So for me, when I got down to that door, my visualizations are very, very creative and very, very clear now. I basically opened the door. As I jumped out, in pure universe, my whole entire body basically turned into energies of atoms, and it just like spread it out throughout the whole entire universe. It was very, very profound because it wasn't something that I just thought up. It was something that just kind of happened as you go, and that's kind of how meditation goes. There's a difference between ego thoughts and then your own thoughts that you just kind of make up as you go. But I ended up, I guess, seeing my future self. I was in a dimension where I saw a beautiful, beautiful White House. Beautiful White House. It almost looked like the White House, but just not as big. And it was stationed in this very, very nice tropical area. And after the experience, of course, I went ahead and researched the landscape because I really just wanted to know where it was at, which it was a really nice lake in Brazil. It was where basically the backyard front was just all pure, clear water. It was just the most gorgeous thing you could ever imagine. And then I was just hovering over this scenery, which is something that was just brought to me. And as I started to come down to the house, I ended up seeing my future or doppelganger self, my other self. I looked completely different. I had a very, very strong looking body, very toned, very, charismatic looking, and it was really funny because the first thing that happened was he came out of the house in this experience of mine, and he started breakdancing. He started breakdancing, and a little bit about my background is in high school I used to breakdance. But he was extremely, extremely athletic and acrobatic, and I was just surprised. It was kind of a lot to take in at the time. But I wanted to get something out of this experience. I wanted to be able to ask him, what it is that I need to do to create what he had. He had everything that I had wanted and even more that I hadn't even thought of. So in this experience, I remember he was doing all these acrobatic things. In my house I had a lot of like obstacle courses and stuff. It was kind of weird, but I'm going with it. Ended up going up to him and asking him, which in a dream, in this experience, it's kind of like you're a ghost because things are just reality's just going on and you're just kind of like monitoring it basically. And I remember I went up to him and I said, hey, and then he turned around and looked at me and he said, he didn't say anything, but I said, I gotta ask you a question. I said, how did you create all this? And he said, mirror your mentors. And it was almost like after that it just kind of like faded away and the experience was over. But I did take something from it. Quantum jumping is a real thing. It really does work. If you ever studied the book Think and Grow Rich, where Napoleon Hill is talking about his invisible counselors, it's exactly the same concept. The Silva Life System, if you ever remember when they're talking about the basically creating your own counselors, same thing. It's a lot easier because it's like you're imagining yourself jumping in and observing something rather than having to imagine something that you don't know of, which it's kind of hard to explain unless you actually experience it. But I highly recommend you check it out. It definitely will help you with your manifestations. I've only been doing it maybe for a month or so, and I've seen so very much change, and I've been able to tap into so much information that I didn't even know was there. So go ahead and check it out. I want to go ahead and post a link at the end of the blog here so that you can go ahead and click on it and get your copy of Burt Goldman's Quantum Jumping. Now I believe he has like a basically some sort of course, a free course. You can try it out, and if you don't like it, you can send it back. What money back, no questions asked type thing. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to share my experience because I didn't really see a lot of people giving a real honest, detailed review upon quantum something because everybody's a little skeptical about it. But it's kind of like one of those things where how do you know if something's not real unless you try it out? So again, this is Brian Statler. It's been a pleasure, and God bless.